I don't believe in location, location, location. If you don't invest yourself first, then you don't know what's happening in your financial investments. Yeah, the money that we've made with that knowledge is 100 times. It's going to benefit me. It's going to benefit my kids, and it's going to benefit their kids. Really, I don't see anything else comparing to property. It's still by far the best investment. Even this property that's now costing us.
Hello, everybody. You are tuned into Nong Wealth, and today we have a special edition. And I think Leo would like to spill the beans on this one.
Man, today we have an awesome guest, property investor who has been actually in the property market.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for Nong Wealth for having me and yeah, giving me the opportunity to have a discussion with you guys. Yeah, so ever since I was small, me and my brother discussed having property. You know, we didn't really know what it meant, or we didn't really know how to do it or go about it, but we discussed it. And then about 5 years ago, when we both got started working and started earning a salary, we decided to pull some money together with my father as well. And then yeah, we've bought our first property in 2015, and yeah, it's just grown from there.
Sure. Johannes, I mean, I really appreciated the relationship that we had from the Zoom meeting that when we started talking, because it was off that basis. This is what I really appreciate. You see, when you come through to us and we speak about property, we don't just speak about becoming a millionaire tomorrow or retiring young and being that millionaire. However, we talk about the good and the bad towards property. That's when we get to the real stuff. So I really appreciate that about Johannes. And I'd like to also, let's talk about the misconception of social media becoming that property multi-millionaire in comparison to what is really happening out there. So Johannes, maybe you can tell us about the two worlds, what we hear on social media, what we see on social media versus what are you currently experiencing?
Yeah, and I must say, to be very honest, in 2015 we started learning. We set out the plan, and the plan was to be financially free in 2020, in April 2020, and to be quit our jobs, our day jobs, and just do this full time, or just just part time, but relying on it as an income. And it's gone well, but it hasn't gone quite that well. There's a lot more things, and life happens, and there's a lot of issues you run into, and yeah, it's just hard to keep it going. Yeah, it's still an incredibly good investment, and we're still going strong. We want to keep doing it, but it's not as quick. It's not overnight. It takes time.
I know on social media, because I'm known as the bad guy, as the one that's always negative and tweeting out the bad stuff. So now on social media, I think I read a post today saying that with property investing, you can become a millionaire by the following year. And now there are a lot of challenges that you actually face, especially as a property investor, when you're starting without someone to actually talk to who has actually been in the property industry. So now, if there's that one thing or the one challenge that actually stands out from your property journey thus far, what would that be?
Yeah, I think in our case, the biggest issue has been tenants. It started off really good, and it went well, and then at some point I think we just started not not listening to our own rules, and we're just accepting tenants too quick to full units, to have somebody in the unit, and then it ends up that they pay well for 2-3 months, and then they fall behind a little bit and fall behind, and then before you know it, they're behind a month or two, and then they just leave and expect that the deposit we had is for the last month's rent, and then there's still some damages that we need to cover. So I think that has been where we've kind of slipped away a lot from our plan, where we've lost, not I don't want to really say lost money, but we just haven't grown as fast as we could.
Yeah. Sure. Like, I want to just tie up something with the two questions that were asked right now, which is quite interesting. Like, having that goal of becoming that multi-million, or just having a goal whereby I want to achieve X amount. And then now you look at the practicality. Do you think now, when you did speak about the importance of investing in yourself, do you think that with regards to your understanding of property investing, now that you've been through property investing and you invested in yourself and planning in the future, you truly understand that you incorporate possible bad things that can happen? So what are the possible bad things that you need? You already mentioned that the tenant can decide to leave. or damaged in the
Mm.
so is there another thing that you want to highlight so that people can know this is something? So this is that jab, this is that TKO that we're taking away from that becoming a millionaire tomorrow, just to bring you back to reality. So is there something else that you also wanted to add, that this is something that you need to forecast?
So the one thing we do always look at is tenancy, and we take account that we won't get tenancy. We'll only have at maximum 11 months of the year we will have a tenant. And then the other thing we always consider as well is the interest rate, because that's something we do not have any control over. So we really make provision for, we keep emergency fund to make provision for when the interest rates go up. Property is a long game. So if you look back 20 years, 40 years, I think in the past 40 years, the interest rate has gone up twice, almost to 20%. So we always keep that in mind, in the back of our mind, saying, what if the interest rate starts going up, and we lose tenancy at that stage? Because at that stage, then people who have debt, they're gonna run into financial issues, and then they won't be able to pay rent as well, or they'll just leave. So that's really the worst case scenario that we're considering. And luckily, in COVID, we tenants ran into issues. They didn't have salaries, and we didn't get rental income. But at least the interest rates dropped incredibly, and the banks gave payment holidays. So that really helped us. That to not, at least in COVID, we didn't go backwards, but we also didn't progress any. So we kind of just stood still for about 3 to 4, 5 months maybe.
Okay. So now, did you lose any tenants during the COVID season, or were some tenants not paying the bill?
Yeah, so we didn't lose tenants, but we lost a lot of rental income.
Sure.
So yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, so some of the tenants are really behind in arrears.
I mean, based on what you just said right now, it's clear that even to all the people out there that are landlords, that you need to have a conversation, or you need to understand what's happening. If you are self-managing it, if you are self-managing the property, you need to have that connection, that relationship with the tenant, so that they're able to understand where you are, and you also able to understand where they are, so that you can push this property business. Because at the end of the day, landlords cannot live on their own, and tenants cannot live on their own.
Yeah.
So that thing of how do we meet each other halfway?
I think just to take it a little back, right? You talked about the mistake that you did, whereby you let some tenants to come and live in the place whereby they were not actually able to sustain the rental there. So now, I think in one of our course, what we do is that we talk about the rules of engagement. So now, when you're looking at the rules of engagement, these are the things that you actually follow before you actually invest in a particular property, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what would be your top 2 rules of engagement that if I don't see this on this particular property, then I'm not investing?
I do kind of have an engineering background. I do like the numbers. So the numbers talk to me. I don't believe in location, because you get people of all sorts, of all walks of life, and some need to live in mansions, and other just need a place to stay, just a bed and a bathroom and a kitchen. So I really look at the numbers, and then we also, like we said, we kind of run it in a forecast, saying 11 months of the year, and we've got rental fees. We'll see if it at least stays cash flow positive in this situation, and then overall, when you start growing a little bit and you've got more than one property, then you also definitely have to consider the worst case scenario, where you've only got tenants 10 months of the year. You're still paying your management fees and all your other expenses, and interest rates have gone up. So if we don't have, and then you'll start looking at your emergency fund. So those are really the 2 things before we buy a property, or we become serious about buying a property, is we look, we're in the cash flow market. So will the property cash flow in a normal situation? And then, do we have enough cash in the bank? Or even one of our properties is really a high cash flowing property, so it'll, even at the worst case scenario, still remain cash flow positive. But then, yeah, so those are really the two criteria we look at. If we've got enough money in the bank to sustain our portfolio during a high interest rate, low tenancy period, then we can continue. If we, that's because that's where your house of cards starts coming down. In the worst case scenario, if you can't afford it, then you're running into trouble of ruining your entire portfolio and everything you've built up over the years.
Listening to you and the conversation that we've been having, it's clear that we speak in the same language. So I'm actually inspired to start another official language in South Africa, that is the property language. But as a token,
I agree. I like it.
now, why am I saying that? I mean, somebody who's viewing can hear that you spoke about historically how inflation has actually impacted this. You're speaking about worst case scenario. You're speaking about all of these. You also have rules of engagement when it comes to looking at a property. When I'm listening to this conversation, I'm like, I detached myself from this meeting, and I'm listening to this conversation, and I can hear that. I know that people say that property is your biggest investment. People say that property is your biggest investment in one entire life. However, now, if I don't have this information, if I didn't invest in myself, it becomes a problem, because it will be that thing whereby, you know what, I've heard somebody speaking about property, or I'm going to Property 24, I'm going to put a heart on it, I'm going to take out all the money that I have and just invest and hope that everything will go right. So now it's clear there's so much that goes behind the scenes. It's clear that we call it the back office. We call it the back office. And I mean, we sent you one of the documents. We sent you one of our documents that we use, because like, we are so obsessed, if I should say, man. We are so obsessed about property. And I think you're also obsessed about it. Hence, we had that connection. So we are to the point whereby, you know what, we said we're going to treat property as an employee. Why am I saying that I'm going to treat my property as an employee? If at work, people actually have appraisals with regards to if somebody has this type of task and this is their due date, this is how they should be getting it, or this is when it should be done. That's how we treat property. And you also actually sent us a rental calculator, and it was so interesting. Hence, I'm saying that, you know what, I thought that this guy was the only guy who's obsessed, but when you sent us that, we actually clicked on that basis that, you know what, we can have a conversation. So I wanted you to speak about the power of investing in yourself, and also if you can shed more light about the rental calculator of yours that you sent us.
Yeah, I mean, this is almost becoming a cliche now, that people are always saying, invest in yourself first. But it really is, the biggest thing you have to invest in before you take any other investment. Because if you don't invest yourself first, then you don't know what's happening in your financial investments, and then those can really ruin your life. Actually, when you're trying actually to make something, you can lose everything. So, and we've taken a couple of courses and spoken to people and learned where we can. And like I said, I'm a numbers guy, so we've got various calculators that we've developed, and so that we can predict, not just looking at not just looking at the property and feeling like it's, oh yeah, this is a good investment, or doing a single calculation at a single best point prediction, and saying, oh, this is what it's going to be like in the next 10 years. So I've developed a calculator that you can add in your own worst case scenario. If you think what I've been saying and what you guys are saying is too conservative, make it even worst case, and then you can do the numbers, do the calculations. Don't go into any property investment without knowing what is your worst case and what you can or can't expect. So it's really, really important to know what you're doing, and then to look at the calculator. So this is something that I've actually learned at a course, but then at that stage I didn't trust it. I was like, this can't be right. This calculator, this is too good to be true. And I took a couple of days to just sat there and started figuring it out and doing the calcs in Excel and building this thing. And then finally I said, oh, I get it now. It is actually 100% right. I've verified it with other scenarios, with other types of investments. I've compared with a normal unit trust or normal ETF investment, and compared it to property, and I could see, okay, now I can compare like for like. So yeah, it's really, really important to invest in yourself, to know what you're doing, and then to do the calcs and to compare your investment and decide where is your money going to work for you.
Yeah, most definitely. So now we don't have any secrets. I don't know if you do have secrets, but now in terms of property investing, we don't have any secrets. So now we have already spoke that we spent around 60,000 on investing on ourselves.
Sure.
Would you mind sharing how much do you think you have actually spent on investing
and do you know what's the worst part about it? I don't know if you want to say the worst part or the best part about it, is that the 60K, it's not that our parents have had a stack of money. It was actually a 60K that was supposed to venture into transport. We were supposed to invest it in buying another car into the Uber platform. So what we said, we're not going to buy a car, we're going for property investing. So it's the 60,000 that we raised from ground up. So yeah, that's why that's our 60,000 story, man. So
would you mind to also actually spend
That's
on yourself?
that's quite a number. I think we spent like what I was involved in. I think we spent 10,000
10K.
on a course.
10K.
Yeah, 10K. And yeah, and luckily also it was with me, my brother, my father. So it was a split, and we. I didn't attend the course even. My brother attended, but then they got videos and everything, so I watched it afterwards.
Sure. Yeah.
And from that course, then well, it depends as well how you think of it, but I did a 4-year degree in engineering, which is basically a maths degree. So you can maybe count that as well to get that information to do the numbers. That's my thing, the numbers.
Most definitely. So now, when you're looking at this 10K that you actually spent on your property journey, right? If we could actually reverse time, would you have it any other way? Would you spend more? Would you have actually, if they told you that, okay, you need to spend around 50K to know what you know today, would it be a problem for you to actually spend that, or would you do it again?
No, I would. I would definitely do it again. It's definitely worth it. It's always a hard situation, but I mean, the money that we've made with that knowledge is 100 times. It's and it's going to benefit me. It's going to benefit my kids, and it's going to benefit their kids. This is knowledge that's now almost entered my family tree, and I'm going to impart that wisdom on them, and then help them to spend additional 50K, 100K on courses to further themselves even.
No, that's amazing, because like that's the same thing that we do. I mean, if we could turn back time, and there is, we've been asked one of those questions, would you recommend that I do it? I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that I'd recommend for you to do it, but I'll do it again. It's one of the things that I would.
Yeah.
So if you find, because even with mentors and even with courses, what I'd like to emphasize is you need to get somebody who really understands the game, and they'll tell you the good and the bad. I'd like to emphasize more bad, especially with the numbers behind, because we sit down with clients, you find that somebody has done this course, however, they don't understand return on investment. I mean, if I'm just speaking of return on investment, and now it gets interesting to the point whereby you are comparing your unit trust, you're comparing all these investments with property investing. So that also shows you that you're looking at property investing in a holistic manner, whereby it's an investment. There's no emotions attached. It's just an investment. If it doesn't make sense, I do not go into it. Simple as that.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's not, I didn't see any of them prior to buying it.
Sure.
So my brother and father, they're in Joburg. I'm in Cape Town currently. So they show me some pictures, but it's like, just show me the numbers, and then I can agree or not agree, and then we take it from there.
I think that's also my sentiment. But now, because I am here in Joburg, I get to see the properties. But now, if I would have it my way, as long as I can see the numbers and understand what's actually going on in the numbers, then everything becomes. Just to close off, do you have any other thing that you actually wanted to say in terms of your property journey, or something that you've learned, or something that you have actually enjoyed about property investing, the benefits? I think we spoke about the negative stuff a lot. The benefits of property, the benefits of property investing.
Yeah. Well, let me just share the one, not a bad thing, but one more thing from the property investments. And you were saying, I wanted to mention when you were saying it's like an employee, because we bought this property. We bought a property on auction actually, and paid off the debts and everything, and then put a tenant in, and it was very high cash flow positive. And then we refinanced and got some more equity out of it, and then the rental market was strong, so it was providing good rental income, being cash flow positive. Then the rental market a little bit went down, and the management of the complex there, like, is a little bit bad actually. So the levies and things are skyrocketing, and now we're sitting in a situation where this property is no longer cash flow positive, and so it's still a relatively good investment because we've almost got it for free but now we're starting to pay a couple grand, 2,000 rand, 2,000 rand a month or so. Where now we want to actually, now it's a bad employee currently, and we want to get rid of it, because if we get rid of it, then there is still some equity we can get out of it, and if we sell it, pay off the bond, then we've got some money left over, and then we can rather put that money to some good use and get another good employee for us to generate some more cash for us. So that's the one thing. But yeah, the good thing is, it's like I said, we did our calculations, we had our plan, 5-year plan to be, almost be millionaires in 5 years. It didn't quite work out that well, but I've the last year again, I started looking at other options, like you're saying, ETFs, unit trusts, and really I don't see anything else comparing to property. It's still by far the best investment. Even this property that's now costing us on a monthly basis, but we actually got it for free, and now we're paying it like very little bit. But if we just keep going, even now, even if we don't sell it, that property is at least going to grow with inflation. It's going to provide income, later down the road. If we can sustain the cash flow, then it's going to provide a lot of income at a stage. So yeah, in my honest opinion, my honest belief is property investments is by far the best investment. And like, yeah, we've talked all about all the bad things, and it's hard work, and there's extra things you put into it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but in the end, it's worth it. And yeah, I'm definitely going to continue to buy more property and continue to grow my portfolio.
I thank you so much for your time, and I think our viewers have actually had a handful, because, like, when we speak about property investing, you can see it in our eyes when we speak passion. We love property investing, and we're
Yeah.
not to scare people away from property investing. However, we're trying to shift the mindset. We're trying to shift the mindset with regards to number one being very important. Number two, I think treating it, removing your emotions, and making sense of it. Is it a business or is it not a business? So, in a nutshell,
Yes.
I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank you for actually putting out there how you see property investing, and the conversation that we currently had. It's exactly how I would. It's exactly how we had it last time, and hence we said, you know what, Johannes, let's actually make this happen, and let the viewers see what we talk about at about after 8 o'clock, after 8 p.m. These are the type of topics we have. So,
And thank you for tuning in.
Yeah. No,
Tuning in.
thank you.
Thank you for having you, Johannes. And then if you do have any comments, please do post it down below. Johannes, how can people actually get hold of you if they want to actually talk about property investing?
Yeah, they can. I'm kind of active on Twitter nowadays. Sometimes more or less, but they can get me on Twitter. It's at Joe_VD Spey. That's my surname. Van der Spey, VD Spey. So JOH _VD Spey. And yeah, you can drop me a message there. I try to get to all my comments and all my messages. And yeah, we can. Like you say, I love to speak property. So anytime.
Most definitely. So now we'll also put down a link below on the description on how people can actually get to you.
Sure.
So now thank you for actually tuning in. Now, do you have any last words?
Yeah, man. And if you'd want us to help you in your property journey, do not hesitate. Send us an email, and let's see how we can actually have that discussion about the practicalities of property investing. And it's beautiful, guys. It's not bad. It's not bad.
Well,
Signing off.